And so the rise of the beast is finally upon us, and with it comes arguably the best villain that they've had in the live action movie. Certainly one of the most dangerous, one of the most sadistic, and one of the most terrifying by way of Scourge. And we're going to delve into this character with the studio series version of him. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all of the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is Studio Series, I think it's 101, Scourge. Leader Class Scourge. And it's obviously a rendition of the movie version of the character. And it's pretty fantastic. How accurate is it? How wonderful is it? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. Great character though. I mean, the movie's fantastic. It has a super tight script, really no plot holes, but honestly, part of the big magic is having a big baddie, and Scourge fills that bill very well. How well does his kind of first real, top-notch, plastic iteration stack up, hold up? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Yes, indeed, the beasts have already risen, and by now, many people, not everyone, will know that Scourge is one bad dude in the movies. I absolutely loved the characterization. He is one heck of a threat, and this is the Studio Series 101 Scourge. So, as usual, before we get into the guy and the instructions, we're going to look at that packaging first. And, of course, we have our packaging. You can't really see it up here because the light is reflecting, but it got your usual Takara Tomy imaging up here and branding. We have a nice picture of Scourge here looking very threatening. Same over here, we got a close-up of his menacing face and visage. Over here, again, that blade, man. That blade is so sinister. On the back, of course, we have our product images. As per usual, note that his hand and arm comes off and the blaster goes on. Very much like the sort of mechanism that we have seen with the Gamer Edition Studio Series offerings that relate to the War for Cybertron High Moon game series. A big important scene in the movie is the battle at the museum. That's what this backdrop is. We got a big old set of instructions, and they're actually pretty easy to follow. And here we have Scourge and all of his scourginess next to the Toy World's Hegemon. That's my Megatron, just as a point of comparison, as well as the Legacy Evolution Tarn down on the far end, also a Voyager, Scourge is a leader. We'll talk about this in a second. And Voyager, Optimus, this is the Earthrise one. It's a little bit bigger than the Studio Series mainline one, so that can give you an idea of just how much Scourge is towering over Optimus Prime. So take that out of it. I will say this. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Scourge and Tarn, to the degree where they both wear a mask, to the degree where they're both eloquent and well-spoken, to the degree that they're vicious and somewhat sadistic, right? So there's a lot of, I feel like, character similarities here, like enough that I feel like if you like Tarn, then you're probably going to enjoy Scourge as a villain, or enjoyed Scourge as a villain. But then we get to one piece of bad news that I do need to point out. This guy, all in, everything here, only clocks in at 193 grams. As a leader class offering, that's not good. I mean, I have gotten to a point where, like, I accept, man, that we're going to lose some mass and whatnot. I get it. But when The traditional here should be 325 grams, and we're only getting 193. I look at other features, right? How is the value made up otherwise? And I think that they missed the mark on a few things here, but they nailed some things here. So we're going to bring the camera in just a little bit, and we're going to kind of start talking about that and giving this guy some scores. But keep in mind, 193 means an uphill climb. Okay, so worth noting, a couple of things worth noting. First, I have his blaster put on his arm over here. We'll look at that in a little bit. And when you do that, his hand can actually go attached back here, a little rectangular slot and a rectangular peg. Same thing with the blaster. It can go horizontally attached going across. I'll say this though, I find that the blaster pegged in here is a little more precarious and loose than the hand pegged in here. So I tend to prefer it this way because there's less chance that the hand's gonna fall off, to be honest with you. The entire cab is, I think, translucent orange. I think this is all paint, but it's hard to tell for sure, but I think that's all paint, which is worth noting because that's a significant amount of paint. I do wish that this accessory was able to detach, but it doesn't. It can come up and go in his hand, and it's cool that it's here, but even if it could like go up further on his arm, you can also fold it like that. That's the way it is in package. Or you could leave it down like that. I'm going to leave it down like that. The legs were also more collapsed in package than they are here. You really sort of got to extend the ankle, and this tire sort of sticks out on the back a little bit more. Looks for the guy. What about the look of the guy? It is based off of concept art. So the final art that we get in the film, the final version that we get in the film is a little bit different than the Studio Series version. So what is different? There is less of this, I'm going to call it dirty scraping on it. It's more of, I'm going to say like rustiness look to him than that, I feel like. That's debatable. The chest here is kind of accurate, but it's more compressed, so there's more of a tummy. And there seems to be more chains coming down around these parts here. By the way, do I have that up on the side? Yes, I do. These parts here seem to have more chains and stuff tied around it. The neck piece here is accurate, but it's longer than it is in the film. It's way shorter in the film, and the head is made bigger with a different mouth in the film, though the mask is still the same. So the entire neck and head assembly here is a little bit different than it was in the film. And the shoulders do not flare up like this. If anything, it would be nice if these could angle down this way without having to bring all this down, because this is closer to the way it looks, right? The arms are fairly accurate, the pelvis is fairly accurate, the legs and the feet and the ankles, all of that is pretty accurate. So the shoulders, the positioning, I'll call it, of the chest and abdomen, and the head should be bigger with a smaller neck, right? That's about it. I'm going to say that for capturing the look of Scourge, it's about, I'm going to say it's about an 8. It's pretty darn good. Oh, and these smokestacks should be, they're there, but they're lower behind him. I'm going to say it's about an 8. You definitely know that it's Scourge, no doubt. If for no other reason than the mask, which is pretty much identical. But there is room here to improve certain things. What about the articulation for this guy in this mode? Well, the arm here can go all the way out. It can rotate up and rotate back. I can't quite get all the way around because of the stuff back here. The thing can go way up over his head. This piece can move. Now, I wish the shoulder locked in more because you can bring down the arm and bring the whole shoulder down. And I find that a little jarring. I wish there was a stopping point. And there's a little bit, ever so slight, of a butterfly forward. The shoulders are weird. You can get the poses with them, but sometimes they'll move ways you don't necessarily want them to move. I guess, trying to think glass half full, it's better to have too many hinges there than not enough. There's a bicep swivel, there's elbow to 90 degrees, nothing at the wrist, which is a bummer, though we do have a base pin at the fingers, and they open and close. Though when you close them, you can't quite get a proper fist. I wish we had a wrist. Over on this side, same sort of movement really at the shoulder and the arm and stuff. Even with the blaster on, you get about 90 degrees at the arm. Waist, we do have a nice free-flowing waist. Legs all the way forward, legs all the way back. Get that out of the way. Thigh swivel. Knee to 90 degrees on a great ratchet. It feels so good. I love it. Ankle tilt in, which I also love. I guess because of transformation stuff, you can have ankle sort of go back, kinda, sorta, and like a toe out to the side if you want it for something, if you need it for something, a toe out to the side. The hand back here, if I take this off, get him sort of settled here again. The hand here, I mean, you can open it out. You basically have a little hole here with a little notch. So if I want to take this off, I slide it out. And then, where's my notch? Line up my notch on the outside of the arm. And then push this in, and there you go. His claws in the film are a little shorter than they are here. These claws are a little longer than they are in the film, which is another reason why he's getting the 8. But I do wish that we had, like we have again, I guess a base pin knuckle. It's too bad none of these have anything more going out. These are kind of soft rubbery plastic too, by the way. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'll close all those down. Going back here, again, that's the peg that the hand was on. So now we use one of these rectangular slots on here. And you can, by rights, probably not going to be able to do it now, but you can by rights put it on there. Right? It goes on over that peg and it goes crossways. I'm not going to worry about that now. So, the articulation is, it's good, by the way. Still only about 90 degrees, right? Maybe slightly over 90 degrees. Maybe you can get a little bit more than when you got the blaster in there. But the articulation is, it's pretty spot on. It's pretty great for the most part. My gripes are very minor. Wrists, you know. Oh, and the head, by the way, I don't think I said the head can go left and right. It can look up and look down, and the neck can look down. I've heard of a lot of people's neck joints being loose. Mine's not. I like it. I think for the most part I can get most what I want. I miss the wrist, and sometimes the shoulders annoy me. I'm going to give, the look was an 8. I'm going to give the articulation a 9. I think it's quite good. You can get some great dynamic poses. I really miss a wrist. Other than that, I can live with the shoulders. And I'd rather they have too much than not enough. So an 8 and a 9, guy's getting an 8.5, right? Now we get to the transformation for the dude. Let's do that. We've sort of kind of already got started by having this piece down. I'm going to take this shoulder pad up and bring this down on the side. Same thing here. Shoulder pad up and bring this down on the side. Some of this is brilliant, and some of this is certainly difficult to show on camera, so I'm going to do the best that I can for you, okay? Alright, so we got that much done. We're going to, how do I want to do this? I think we'll come to the back next, and we're going to pick the back section off, right? The whole back piece comes off. It was tabbed on with a rectangular tab there and a port right there. We're going to bring out, if I can do it, there, this piece and this piece. In fact, we're going to bring that all the way out flat. We're going to flip out this piece, we're going to flip out this piece. And you can see in here all of this is translucent, which means all of this is paint, right? I think. Pretty sure. Or maybe this is inside. Maybe that's plastic. You know what? I'm going to double check that. Give me a moment. No, all of it is translucent and painted, so worth noting. Also, I'm going to show this now since I'm not doing the truck mode. You want to, when you are collapsing the top section and whatnot, you want to collapse this way and then you can fold it up. And you can probably see in here the way the final orientation should look for truck mode, right? In this mode, we're going to, or the way it should look for robot mode, I'm sorry. I'm going to extend all of that out flat now. Again, we'll end up collapsing this later. So I have all of that done now, which means we can fold the arms in. I'm going to back things up and fold those arms in, and we're going to go from there. But the arms, quite honestly, are very easy because they just untab from the side, right? So I'm going to get both arms folded around. A few people have really struggled with trying to figure out how to know if they have the arms positioned right. This circle and this circle should both be facing straight up, and that should give you a little bit of wiggle room right here on both of these. If they're not facing straight up, then you need to kind of work this hinge right here a little bit more. This arm, it just hangs out back there. This arm with the blade section tabs in on the side of the leg. So I'm just going to bring all of that up over for now so that we can deal with the legs next. It is worth noting that on the pelvis way up here there are two little pegs, easy to snap off. You're going to turn the legs around at the thigh. I suggest holding them off the body to do it so you don't break these hexagonal ports. Those are tabs, I mean. Those hexagonal tabs will go into these hexagonal ports up where the chain is on his thigh, I suppose you could say. So we turn this around and we bring it in. We do the exact same here on the other side. We're going to bring it out. The hole is right there, just below the hip piece. We're going to turn it around and we're going to bring those in. I might need to finagle them a little bit more to make sure that they tab on. We'll see. Now that we have that done though, we have a hole here in the, what I'll call the knee section. And that hole is going to take this tab that's on the blade section. Or it should take that tab. Dun, dun, dun. Let me make sure I'm lining this up right. There we go. Now that we have that done, we can bring this foot back. And same over here. We're just going to try and straighten up the knee all the way. And we bring this foot back. Now that we have the feet back, we're going to try and make sure we have the back hair lined up. I'm eyeballing it, which is not the best way to do anything, especially for me. But you should have it just about right there. Then we're going to take the foot and we bend it in and we bring it up. Foot bend in and bring it up. When we bring it up, this rectangular slot, I don't know if you can see it, this rectangular slot on the top of the foot goes over this rectangular peg in here. Same on the other side. So this should come up and go over. This should come up and go over. That one doesn't seem to want to go over as well, but I'll fiddle with that in a moment. Make sure I have the waist lined up, make sure I have these all lined up. Okay, now that we've got that done, we can deal with the front tires next. I'm just going to make sure I have these tabbed in before we move on. Okay, here we go with the front. So we're going to pick this piece off, and we're even going to come to the side here and pick that piece out and that rib piece out. And all of that's going to flip to the side for now. Straighten up the head, and we're going to bring this tire up over. When we do so, it can tab in right there. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just getting it out. Over here on this side, it's a little more, I don't want to say cumbersome, but it is a little more involved to do this side. So we will begin, I thought that I could just begin to pick this, out. And then we got to deal with this chest section, which is not the most fun thing to try and deal with, to be perfectly honest, this way. And there's a way that I flip this. I want to make sure I'm flipping it the right way. Am I flipping it the wrong way? Maybe I'm flipping it the wrong way. Yes, okay, that's what you got to do. You got to bring it out and keep it straightened up and kind of flip it as you're going here, because this whole thing will flip up around to the very front. So right now, you should have both tires out there and the front grille should be like this. I'm even going to straighten up the bumper, right? Front grille is like that. We're going to come here to the back and all of this collapse in. so that this whole centerpiece can come down between the shoulder blades. Make sure I got that out of the way, make sure I got that out of the way. Bring all of this down. So I came up closer to show you how the assembly should look when collapsed for robot mode. In this case, we're going to collapse it in here like this. So instead of it being collapsed near the back, now it's collapsed up in the cab. And then we bring this front piece down and forward and inside. And we tab it together there. So once we have that collapsed the way it should be, we can take these and bring them up here, take these and bring them up here, and even start to sort of bring these down on the side a little bit. Okay, now this tab can go into this hole quite nicely. Very secure, very snug. And over here, we're going to do the same thing and bring it up, but we're also going to bring the grill around the front. By the way, the grill fits in this section right here. So we bring that up, we fit the grill in. We come here and bring that down, we come here and bring that down. There are little tabs that kind of go in on the hips on the back, but without his blaster on, and by the way, his blaster, you open it up and it fits over these two rectangular slots on his knees. The back legs do not peg together, though I feel like the feet should have. They don't, but in the end, boom, here we have Scourge in his menacing truck mode. I spoke about his blaster opening up. Indeed, it does. You would open this up, you would open this down. You rotate them like this. After you've rotated them like that, you're going to angle them so that these two are pretty much lined up and they can go over those pegs on the knees that I mentioned. And man, this thing is giving me all kinds of terrifying vibes. I mean, it looks like the Dark of the Moon Megatron. It looks like the truck from Jeepers Creepers. Well, it doesn't look like the truck from Jeepers Creepers, but it got that same vibe. You don't want this chasing after you. We know that up on the grill, there's a whole bunch of different badges for his various victims. Apparently, too, on his arms, there's a couple of Predacon badges, but neither myself nor Starscream Wife could find them. And maybe that's just the movie design. Maybe it wasn't in the Studio Series one. I'm not 100% sure. The back is very hollow unless you put this piece on. Apparently you can use the other ports and stuff in here to attach one of the freezers. I don't have one of those freezers. I wasn't even sure I was getting this guy until I got him. I wish that these had a locking point. They have a soft locking point, but it's easy to move the four smokestacks. I think the transformation is very interesting. I find it hilarious that the one piece that doesn't move at all is his head. Everything works around his body, but his head never ever moves. This is, of course, what he looks like from underneath. That cab's awful hollow. I love the translucent orange in the cab. It feels like inside of him is on fire and menacing with the burning hate of Unicron, right? I absolutely love that, by the way. He rolls like a champion. Oh, I guess I should also mention that I didn't pull out his tires. You're supposed to pull out his tires. And I don't find that my tires really move. Certainly not any real discernible amount, so I tend to forget that part of the transformation. They do, but I don't find they really got a locking point. That's the thing. I wish the shoulders had a locking point. I wish those tires you pull out had a locking point. I wish these had a locking point. And maybe some people's copies do. Maybe it's just mine. I'm going to say the transformation overall is well designed. I love the way the front and the grille is done, even though I did kind of have to think about the positioning of the grille. I think the legs are very interesting, and I know that they attach up at the hips, and I know if you put this piece on, it attaches at the knees. I do think it would have been nice if the feet tabbed together. About an 8, again, I think, overall for the transformation. So he was getting an 8.75, no, he was getting an 8.5 and an 8 here. I think it's an 8.25. It's great. He's wonderful. He's fun. He's interesting to go back between both modes. But I don't see a full leader class price point value here. I feel like while we do have a lot more of a paint budget used here, and that did make up a bunch of value, while I think that the engineering and whatnot is very interesting, at least for sure with the upper body. The legs are nothing special. You're just turning them around and folding up the feet. Nothing special about the engineering there. The head, I mean, it doesn't even move, so it's just straightforward. The key, I think, is in the shoulders and the torso. I like this guy. I don't think he's worth a full leader class price point. I would say if you're on the fence about him, like if you're in for the movie, then, I mean, get him. He's great. You'll enjoy him. But if you're not completely in, or you're on the fence, or you're thinking, I wonder if I should wait for a sale. Wait for a sale. He's definitely worth getting, but I don't know if he's quite worth getting at full price. Overall score, 8.25. Still pretty fantastic. And here we are, and here he is. So, well, let's kind of get the bad out of the way first. His mass is far too low to be a full-priced leader. I mean, it just is. I get that a lot of the value, though, is made up with other things. Like, this guy does have a significant amount of paint. A lot of silver. We have the weathering, really all the gray and whatnot, and detailing on the clear cab, we'll say. I think that he has an interesting transformation, but I wouldn't say it's a huge parts count. I mean, the chest comes out to the side and flips up, the tire flips up, the arms flip to the back, and his legs just kind of go together. So it's not hugely intricate, but it's really effective and interesting, and it's not frustrating. You get to both modes kind of seamlessly. I would say the worst part is trying to have both legs sort of line up in the back, largely because they don't peg together, which I think was probably a bit of an oversight. This is based on kind of concept art rather than the final model, which is why the shoulders are different, the neck piece is longer than it should be, and the head is a bit smaller with a different chin, though the mask is pretty much spot on, as are the orange eyes. I wish we could see a little more of the orange behind his chest, but it is there. It doesn't catch light, which I think is a little unfortunate. But I don't know if there's a way that they could have really worked around that. I love the menacing looking truck mode. And I think the articulation is mostly very effective with, with the missing wrist being kind of the only thing that bugs me. Would more hinges on these weird four fingers be nice? Yes. Is it a deal breaker that they're not there? No. I think he's definitely worth getting. If you can score him on a little bit of a sale, all the better. I think he is absolutely definitely worth getting. I think I'm going to call my guy Burden, since I have the Studio Series 86 and that's my iteration of Scourge. He's fantastic. But that said, I still think that if you can pull it off for, $5-10 cheaper, do it. If you are really into the movie, really into the character, and really want a version of him, then you know what? Even if you do get him for full price, I think you're still going to be quite happy. You just got to know what it is you're getting. Yeah, he's terrific. Honestly, he's fun, he's functional, he looks great, he feels great, he works great. Let me know. Oh, by the way, I'll mention this. I don't have the neck issue, and I have not had any issues with the clear plastic at all, even though some people have claimed that they have. I don't know. I can only speak for the copy I have. Let me know what your experience has been with this mold. Let me know what you think of this mold. I think it's pretty fantastic. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button. Stick around, man. Have some fun with us here on the channel. And especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.